Hello everyone, welcome back to Butterfly Ivy, the Nature Witch. So we're continuing with our Defensive Magic 101. This time I'm bringing you one of the most common forms of protection, a binding spell. There's a lot of ways to do it. You can bind them in the earth, you can take a picture and use black wax, but one of the most commonly used methods is the freezer binding. What you're going to need for this spell, well, first, the purpose of the spell is to bind somebody so that they can no longer magically or energetically affect you. Basically, it's not saying that it will cease contact, but it helps you to see to feel and know in your mind that this person no longer has any power over you. You also have to be careful when you do a binding spell, because if you do any sort of magic with them, or you do any sort of magic to them after this, then the binding is undone. So once you do the binding, that's it. That's the end of the road. This is basically your last resort. This is, I am done with you. I'm not putting any more energy into the situation. It ends here. So what you want to need for the freezer binding spell is a jar. This is my freezing jar. And I have quite a few people in here. Well, not quite a few. I don't make that many enemies. These two that I'm adding today are a couple, so this would make 5 in here. And that's pretty good considering how long I've been on my path. I don't unnecessarily start drama or conflict, but every now and then you have no choice. Alright, so the first thing you need to do is you need to write out their names. A lot of people use sugar bags, the brown paper in the sugar bags, but for binding spells I use yellow legal paper, because to me yellow legal paper represents law, order, and that I am doing this for what's best for me. So write out their full name on the paper, and then what you want to do is you want to fold it away from you once, turn it counterclockwise, fold it again away from you, once again turn it counterclockwise, and fold it away from you again, and drop it in the jar. And so I'll go ahead and do that again with the other one. Alright, so now that we've done that, I want to do something else. A friend of mine gave me some really powerful frankincense from Ethiopia, and that smells so good. He's such a good friend. I like him a lot. So I'm just going to burn and smudge this kind of to offer an extra layer of protection, as well as a little bit should do it. If I can get it on the charcoal tab. There we go. That's doing it. Okay, let's get that smoking. And I'm basically going to consecrate the jar with this, because frankincense is good for consecration as well as protection, so it works very well for this spell. And that energy is lovely. What was I going to do? Sorry, I'm so distracted by the energy of that frankincense. Okay, so the next thing you do, you want to put as many correspondences for protection and binding as you can in the ritual. So this is just an example of what I do and what works for me. Of course, do what speaks to you, because it needs to resonate with you in order to work. So I'm going to use some cologne, just a little bit. Just a couple drops will do, because the alcohol in it will keep it from freezing if you put too much. Ooh, that cologne and that resin is going well together. This is Papa Legwa's in cologne. I call on him because I follow the Marasa twins, because I have twins that run in my family, and also I was taught that by a hoodoo witch from New Orleans. So, basically, with that, you have to be very careful and only use it during certain circumstances. This is not The hoodoo, a lot of people will say that you have to be African American in order to do hoodoo, but that's not the case, because hoodoo is the melting pot religion. It incorporates things from African voodoo to Native American spiritualism to Catholicism. It's really like paganism in that way, and that anyone can practice, because it incorporates a bunch of different religions and spiritualities into one practice. Alright, next I do 3 holly leaves. I collected these holly leaves at the time of the winter solstice. The holly leaves are good for protection because they have sharp spikes. So I'm just going to drop 3 in there. Next, another really good protective herb, and you'll notice that a lot of the protective herbs have thorns. So I'm using blackberry. So I've put 3 blackberry sticks in there. Be careful not to jab myself. Alright, that should do it. Alright, the next thing about the binding spell, I'm going to incorporate a little Saint-Michel oil to go with the hoodoo element in this. Saint-Michel oil is used for protection, confidence, strength, courage. Also honor Saint Michael, someone that I draw on. So let's just add a little bit of this oil. Again, just a tiny bit, like a drop or 2. Alright, and finally I'm going to add 3 cloves to power it up, to power up all the other ingredients. 1, 2, 3. Next step is to add moon water to completely cover the herbs and the name and everything. Alright, so now that that's done, the next step is just to stick it in the freezer and let it freeze, and then leave it in the freezer until you're sure that these people are no longer a threat. I typically do so until the jar is completely full and I can't put anything else in it. And then after I'm sure that everybody in the jar is no longer interested in affecting me, or the tie has been severed long enough, then I will thaw the jar and I will dispose of the ingredients out in nature. So that's a good thing to do. Alright, well that's all I have for binding spells. Always remember, if you take care of nature, nature will take care of you.